Hi, I'm AJ with Humbucker Soup. In this video, I'm going to teach you some hacks to help you out with guitar building. This first hack is kind of simple. It's simply having a piece of scrap wood. And scrap doesn't always have to be a bad piece of wood that you're going to throw away. It could be something new that's inexpensive and similar to the size that you're working with. As you can see, this one's been used quite a bit, but it's better to test things out than to mess something up on your actual guitar body. This one is a little bit better looking. The other nice thing is, with something new like this, you don't have to worry about it tearing up your tools. The next thing is, when you're cutting your fretboards, if you have thin pieces left over like this, it's a good idea to keep them around. For example, if you're doing a fret job and you pull a fret out, if the fretboard ends up chipping, you can always use this to make a little bit of sawdust, and then you can mix that with some super glue and fill it back in. Which, by the way, Stuart McDonald has these thin pieces of Teflon that are pretty much perfect for sliding down inside of fret slots. Then you can do your glue work, and the glue won't stick to these permanently, so you can pull them back out and then just sand the job when you're done. Soldering irons can be pretty handy for a couple of different things. If you have a ding in your piece of wood, you can simply get a rag and wet it, and then wring it out, hold it over the ding, and you can use a soldering iron to heat it up, and it'll swell that back up to where you can just sand it off. Just be careful not to burn your hand or the piece of wood. Another thing you can use a soldering iron for is for heating up frets before you pull them out. And in some cases, you can actually apply solder directly to the fret that will help with heat transfer. This next hack is more of an actual product. These Bench Dog bench cookies are really awesome. I use them all the time for just about everything. You put them on the table and they don't slide around. Then you can put your guitar body or whatever you're working on directly on these. And then you don't have to worry about clamping things down or worrying about damaging the guitar body. Another thing I like to use a lot is these router bushings. And there are some templates and jigs out there that are designed to actually work with these. But they can also be useful in other situations. For example, a while back I was working on a custom 7-string and I needed a single coil template and I couldn't find one anywhere. So I simply took 4 pieces of wood. There's 2 thinner pieces in here and then these 2 bigger ones on the outside. And this router bushing fits neatly in between them. Then I simply used the right size router bit, and this is what I ended up with. Another handy thing to have around the shop is this binding tape, because it's only a few thousandths of an inch thick, and if you ever need it to fill in, like, say, a neck pocket, if this neck pocket is a little bit too loose, you can simply put a little bit of tape around the inside of it, and it'll make it tighter. You can also use it on the outside of templates to make them a little bit bigger. For example, this is something I made a little while back for the output jack cover for an Ibanez. Which brings me to the next hack. You have to be really careful when you're routing small things like this because you don't want to end up cutting your finger off. So I just drilled through this and screwed and then glued this piece of dowel to it so that I can use the dowel up above. Another thing that can be a little bit helpful to have around the shop is this paste finishing wax, or you could use something like Johnson's wax. But this can be used on surfaces of your planer. That way it makes them nice and smooth so that when you're planing, the piece of wood actually slides across it instead of binding up. And it can also be used to keep glue from sticking to wood. So you'd simply wax off the area where you don't want the glue to stick, do your glue job, and then when you're done, you can just use a rag with a little bit of naphtha and wipe it off. I hope you found this video helpful, and we'll see you on the next one.